We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. Actually, I really hope your day is going well because this will air on Christmas Day. Now, I do
Whoa.
have a question. I do have a question for those people. What the fuck are you doing listening to a podcast on Christmas Day? I mean, Jesus Christ. I hope you've had your party and everything's good and you saved it for late at night before you go to bed and get back to work the next day. But anyway, it is Christmas Day. I'm a little ahead of time. I'm recording this on Monday the 23rd, but you're hearing it on the 25th, which is Wednesday. And we have the good fortune to have a guest with us. Jay from California. You'll remember Jay. He's got a couple of distinguishing points. He is Gen Z. He's a 20-year-old young man. Um, he's getting ready to head off to college in Canada. And Jay, thanks for coming back. It's always good to hear from you. People are impressed with a 20-year-old kid that can complete a sentence and has some thoughts. So it's nice to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again, Mike. Yeah, sorry for all the folks out there. I don't watch Joe Rogan. I'm not into TikTok. I don't follow the social media stuff. Maybe that's a good thing for me because I've noticed that social media tends to have that effect on people.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is this is kind of a serious issue is America is addicted to the promise of free money, and we really need to get rid of that if we're going to go anywhere.
Well, at 64, living 64 years in this country, I can tell you they ain't no free money. There isn't any free
No,
money.
no,
There's
there
strings
isn't.
to everything. You'll have strings. And when I have Old Soul in here or other folks, I always take the time to update their situations. And people were interested in knowing that you're planning to go to Canada to go to college. And you told me before we came on the show that you've changed your plans a little bit. Still going to Canada, but you have a different
Yeah,
goal ultimately when you get there.
yeah. I looked at the politics and sort of environment of the provinces, and Alberta kind of disturbed me a little bit because I'm like, well, I'm not sure I want a province that's so close to the states in terms of politics. There's also talk about like, oh, there's a conservative supermajority government coming in, but the thing is, the federal government usually doesn't touch the provinces. They don't
Mm-hmm.
touch how the provinces run themselves. And British Columbia has a pretty good track record of being run by the New Democratic Party, which is basically um, they're the further left than the Liberal Party in Canada. So generally, the conservative government wouldn't touch them. So my new plan is to go to University of British Columbia in Vancouver, study biology, study English, graduate, probably go into medical school. Medical school is insanely cheap in Canada compared to how it is here.
Wow.
On average per year in the States, medical school is like $50,000 to $100,000 a year. In Canada, it's about 20. So
Wow. That's a huge
it's
difference.
it's crazy affordable.
Now, I understand British Columbia. I've never been to British Columbia, but I understand it's beautiful. Uh,
It is, yeah. It's kind of like
Vancouver
an
is a
extension
beautiful
of the Pacific
city.
Northwest.
Right, right. It's almost like you're in Washington or Oregon, right?
Yeah, Washington, Oregon, Seattle or Portland, one of those spaces.
Yeah,
I'm originally from
absolutely.
Portland, so I do appreciate that.
That's perfect. Yeah, you're not that far away from where you grew up, so that's good. Well, we wish you the best of luck up there. I'm sure you'll do fine, and hopefully you'll
Oh
keep
yeah, oh
us
yeah.
posted as time goes on when you get ready to go up there and keep us apprised of what's happening as you're up there. There's a lot of shit going on
Oh
since
yeah.
since this past weekend. And the thing is, the biggest story of the day on the 23rd, which is Monday, was that the report from Matt Gaetz's investigation was released from the Ethics Committee in the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And the Republicans did everything they could to not allow it to be revealed. Matt Gaetz even resigned at the last minute, thinking that would be a way to keep it hidden. And then even just before it was released today or Monday, he filed a lawsuit against the ethics committee for releasing it. Now, some people think he's going to kind of follow up and try to sue them and make money off it. That's not really what he intended to do. What he was looking to do was file the lawsuit, and then for technical reasons, they would put a stay on the releasing of it, which didn't happen.
It didn't work. Yeah.
No, it didn't work. And what we found out, what we found out essentially is Matt Gaetz is who we thought he was, and he did what we thought he did. We just got verification from the ethics committee, but we're talking about prostitution, we're talking about sex trafficking, we're talking about drugs, we're talking about paying an underage girl for sex, and it's all right there. I know the Republicans who support Matt Gaetz did not want this released, but fuck it, that's a pretty serious report.
In other words, he got up to typical Republican activities.
Right. Well, the interesting thing is, I have a couple of questions about this too. You know, we find out he did all this stuff. We find out that there's evidence. So are you trying to tell me, knowing that this happened, and I'm guaranteeing you Donald Trump knew it happened, he was willing to still
well,
make
because he
this
did it.
guy...
He did it himself. He did all those things
exactly.
himself too.
Yeah, he's like an intern to Donald Trump, but he was still willing to make him... It's one thing if you're going to put him in the Commerce Department or something like that, but he wanted to make this motherfucker the top lawman in all of the country. That's fucking ridiculous. That's silly.
God help us all if it had gotten through.
Oh,
God help us all if that
amazing.
had happened.
The other question I have, and I'm curious as to what you think about, I know what most people think about it. If we've got all this evidence and this comes out and it's all pretty damning, why in the fuck didn't Merrick Garland and the DOJ press charges when they had a chance? I know why, but I'm curious as to wonder if you know why.
Well, because Merrick Garland is a Republican. He's literally just James Comey 2.0. He doesn't want to attack his own party. That's what I've been saying this whole time. Merrick, you say what you will about Merrick Garland being a coward or not wanting to look political. No, he's just covering for his corrupt ass party. He's protecting his Republican buddies.
Yeah. Well, some people will look at it, and I've said as much, that he was too tentative and too afraid of making himself look too political. One way to look at it is Matt Gaetz is a sitting member of Congress, and he was too afraid to do it.
He's not anymore.
No, he's not anymore. And
he's not. He can't unresign. He can't do that.
No, he can't.
Say that all you want, Matt. You're not coming back.
No, he's not coming back. And frankly, the DOJ is never going to touch him because it's going to be a Donald Trump DOJ in less than a month. So, even if they did indict him, it wouldn't stay indicted. So what you're saying about Merrick Garland, though, is for all intents and purposes, he's a double agent. He went in under a Democratic president, but he's doing the bidding of the Republicans. You really believe that? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it's too difficult. There's too much evidence not to say that. I mean, he's part of the Federalist Society. He's a Republican. Barack Obama nominated him to the Supreme Court just to try and get Mitch McConnell to agree to it, which, of course, that was never going to happen anyway. Yeah. And I honestly believe that, not wanting to look political, that is not, no way that was true. Merrick Garland did not go after Donald Trump and all these other people, not because he didn't want to look political, but because they were in his party. And he, like I said, he's James Comey 2.0. He's just looking out for his own tribal buddies.
Well, and another thing that would support what you're saying is, with all the stuff that he didn't do regarding Donald Trump and the Republicans, he sure hired a special counsel pretty fast on Hunter Biden, which is a gutsy thing to do. The president who got you the job,
that's what makes me think,
prosecute his kid. Yeah.
That's another thing that makes me think, no, because I feel like Merrick Garland there was kind of trying to stain Joe Biden and help. Yeah. I feel like the Hunter Biden thing is literally just a repeat of her emails. I feel like it's literally just that all over again.
It is.
They're trying to stain the Democratic candidate so that they can get a Republican in there, hoping that as a Republican they'll get something out of it, which you're not going to get shit. Sorry, Merrick Garland, you're not getting shit from anyone. Well, you'll get shit from us, but only in terms of like a thrashing, but still.
Right. Well, so Matt Gaetz, prior to the release of this report, he said, "I'm not going back to the House, but I could run for Marco Rubio's Senate seat, or I could run for governor."
Jesus.
I mean, once this is released and everybody's seen what they've seen, including Republicans, does he have any political life at all? I mean, are the Republicans so bad that they would still keep him in there and elect him into office, knowing what they know now? I kind of think they might.
Oh man. I mean, at this point, Florida, the Republican Party, and just the American people in general are just so fucked up that I'm like, I'm almost thinking they look at these things as less like disqualifying factors and more like as like qualifications on the resume. Like, you're doing all these things, come on in. You pass all the tests. It's like, I'm pretty sure you have to be just straight up evil to be a Republican now. Like, the more evil you are, the more likely you are to get elected because the electorate are just so insane and unhinged and psychotic.
It would seem to be the case. I mean, personally, I think the reason they support these people like a Matt Gaetz or a Donald Trump goes back to the premise that all they really care about is owning the libtards. So by putting Matt Gaetz or Donald Trump in position, it'll make the Democrats' hair start on fire. I really believe. I mean, because when you look at this, they won the election, and I'm still confused by this. They won the election. They can't ask for any more. They got the House, they got the Senate, they got the Oval Office. They want it, but still they want to come to my page and other people's pages and argue. Argue about what, motherfucker? You won. And I think the point is that's all they know how to do. They don't know how to govern. They don't know how to accomplish anything. They can't back up what they know as lies, even though they perpetuated them. All they know how to do is fight with somebody, and that doesn't bode
Well,
well for what we can expect to get done this term.
it's it's not necessarily about fighting, it's about they want to I feel like the American people as a whole have either partially or in the process of doing this devolving into Neanderthals. We're going back to the caveman
That's
days. Everyone has this. God damn it! It's
just ignore,
my cat.
just ignore her. It's just a cat. As long as we can hear you,
Um,
what the hell?
yeah. Anyway, it's, this country has developed such an addiction to this machismo tough guy,
Yeah.
you know, chest thumping Chad thing that it's like all anyone wants to do anymore is just they want to be the big tough guy, and it's not they want to kick somebody while they're down. They want absolute dominance. They want absolute deferential treatment from everyone else. It's sickening. It's appalling. It's part of my whole motivation for going to Canada because at least they don't do that up there.
I think that's why Republicans or Trump the fucks anyways are confused. They're confused that after the election that we weren't bowing and scraping and saying, "Oh, you were right. We'll come together. We've learned a lesson." But instead, people are punching them in the face figuratively and saying,
Right.
"Fuck you. We don't want anything to do with you." And that confuses them because all they know is about getting in a fight, trying to dominate. And after they thought they dominated, they can't understand why people aren't deferring to him. Because they're basically an unsophisticated mind, an animalistic mind. I'm going to win. You roll over on your belly. I rub your belly, and we'll just do whatever we want. That's not what's going to happen in this country. This country is going to say, "Okay, you won. I'm going to kick you in the nuts," and that's the way we should be doing this on the Democratic side. And hopefully,
Yeah.
there'll be enough strength on the Democratic side to keep pushing these motherfuckers.
Yeah. First off, I wanted to say Michelle Obama's "they go low, we go high." Fuck that shit. They go
Yeah,
low, we stomp on them until they stop getting up.
right. My father never gave me much good advice because he was an asshole. The only good advice he gave me was that if you're in a fight, and there's a stick laying on the ground, pick that motherfucker up and hit him with it before he does it to you. And there's some truth in that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Um, Also, you'd talk about like, oh, you roll over, I rub your belly, whatever. Yeah, and lose your hand in the process.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we've got to be. We really need the Democratic Party to become another entity. They're easy to roll over and say, well, we lost, what the hell? No, and the thing about
No,
it is we've got so much ammunition. People have said to me, what are you going to do after the election if Kamala wins? Well, I will still talk about all the stuff. But what Republicans don't understand, as much as I don't want Donald Trump to be president, they gave me 4 more years of ammunition. I can do this and gain more
it's
followers,
true.
make a
Yeah.
couple bucks and do all this shit. And that's what I'll do because I'm retired. What else am I going to do? But when you look at some of the shit that Donald Trump is doing and saying prior to taking office, um, I'm going to put tariffs on Mexico and Canada. I'm going to make Canada the 51st state. I'm going to repossess the Panama Canal. And now he's
We
talking
don't
about
own that.
by
We never
no, we
owned
never
that.
no, we never owned it. He doesn't understand what's going on. And you know why he brought up the Panama Canal? I'm convinced. He was in a meeting and somebody was talking about the people at the Panama Canal were raising the prices to use the canal. He goes, fuck that. I'm America. I'm going to go down there and just take the motherfucker back. Well, I'd like to see you do it. And then he's talking about buying
Hope somebody
Greenland for
pushes you
fuck's
in while
sake.
you're at it.
I was telling you before we got on the show, you know how many people live in Greenland? 56,000 people.
Yeah, it's like less than a small town. It's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know what his fixation with it, other than every time he says something and looks stupid, inevitably he'll try to ramp things up. He's trying to make noise. He's trying to make news. He's trying to create chaos and make people fearful and realize how tough he is. But every time he does it, he looks foolish. He looks childish. He's
Yeah.
unserious. And I don't think he gets that.
Yeah, I don't think he gets it either. I do want to say, you and I talked about this just before the show, but I don't think the audience knows this yet. Two reasons why Donald Trump is going after Greenland. For one thing, he thinks a bunch of white people lives there because the guy's a
Probably
fucking
right.
racist.
Yeah.
Also, he wants to slap his name on it. He wants to buy it so he can slap his name on it because the guy's all about branding. He's all about I own this, I own that. He's all about that.
Yeah, I think somebody said he wants to make it equivalent to like the Marshall Islands or something like that. He just wants to, he wants, and this is the funniest thing. Somebody goes, Donnie, how are you going to get Greenland? How are you going to get them to sell it to you? Or how are you going to get control of that? And you know what his answer is?
What?
Well, I'm just going to win over the citizens. Donnie Trump's going to go over there and charm those motherfuckers, and they're going to say, you know what, Donnie, we want to jump on board with you. This motherfucker is so stupid. He believes he can do that, and it's right in line
What's
with
he?
narcissists. They think whatever they say is absolute truth because it came out of their mouth, whether it has any substance or not. He thinks he can walk in there and charm 56,000 people, and they'll go, "I'm going with fucking Donnie." It's so silly.
What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do there? What's he gonna do? Stand there and shit his pants and expect them to go along with him? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Somebody can make a Donald Trump snowman, but they have to make sure to put mud on the bottom orb in the back so it's accurate.
Oh
Fucking A.
God.
I mean, how do you
Oh,
even take that serious? How do you not laugh at that? Some people are terrified and scared, and I'm not terrified. This guy's a fucking goof. He's a bigger goof than he
I'm
was the first time.
yeah. I'm not terrified either. I'm concerned, I think at best. Mostly I'm confused, pissed, disgusted, terribly saddened, and above all just kind of, fuck this, I'm out. I don't know if there's a
Yeah,
word, if there's a way to just, if there, I'm pretty sure there's an emotion that corresponds to that, but I don't know how to,
yeah,
you know, I don't know
yeah.
how to
I
put it
get
in
that.
words.
Well, one of the things I take as a positive when I see the goofy things he says prior to taking office, it just tells me it's going to be absolutely ridiculous when he's president. He's going to try and say and
Yeah.
do fucking things, and nobody's going to buy into it. I mean, when he first got elected,
No.
everybody, Democrats would come to me and go, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Well, clearly, with the funding bill, we know there are a number of Republicans that aren't buying into his bullshit. So he's
Yeah.
not going to be able to do a lot of stuff once he becomes president.
No, he isn't. Really quick, Mike. I was laughing about the snowman thing and the guy doing whatever. I got a bit of a bone to pick with you. I was on the I was on the TikTok live. I was watching it with you and Will and Eric and who else was there? TJ,
Yeah.
Rebecca was on there. I want to figure out how to get on one of those, by the way, because I want to say hi to everyone else as well. Um, anyway, you at one point brought up the idea of Elon and Donnie getting it on, as it were, and
Did I really?
for
I've said a
yeah,
lot
you
of
did.
shit, but
Yeah, you
is
did.
it, I
Um,
make a sexual tension reference? Okay, that's possible.
it's first off, again, thank you for no thanks for putting that in my head. Is the first thing.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
need
No,
that.
I get that.
I was watching that on my. I was watching that thing on my laptop. I was drinking a glass of I forget what it was. I think it was apple cider. I almost spit the shit all over my fucking screen.
Well, I'm
So you
sorry for
almost
that.
put me out of a laptop.
There's been a lot of things we end up discussing on the podcast. It's one thing to watch it live at night. That's cool. But so
Yeah,
I make these into podcasts too. So somebody could be watching it while they're having their bacon and eggs. And I have to apologize for some of these images I create or my guests create because they're kind of fucking disgusting, to be honest with you. But
yeah.
no, I can appreciate that. I don't know if I remembered where I was insinuating the sexual connection, but I could see where I do that. I
She
get
said
it.
this is the. Said you said something about like they're talking about. Oh, we're in love. Elon and Donald. You said, can you imagine the thing of sex between those two? And then everyone else is just like, oh, Mike, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think I do remember that now. I'm 64. I don't remember. I tell people when you're 64, I can remember the 70s like they were yesterday, but I frequently forget to zip my pants coming out of the bathroom today. So that's
I
just
have
how
the
it works.
I had the exact same problem. I remember stuff that I did in 2009 when I was 5, and yet I still can't remember where I put my credit card sometimes. It's so it's kind of appalling.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. The thing about it is the whole Elon thing. And I won't say that I started this. It wasn't just me. But when people started calling Elon President Elon and Vice President Donald Trump, I
Oh
kind of
yeah.
upped it a little bit. I said President Elon and Bitch Boy Donald. Um, but I said, we keep this up, it's going to get to him. And goddamned if it
It is,
didn't.
yeah.
He true socialed something
Yeah.
out. He gave it in a speech. He does not like the idea of people calling Elon Musk the president.
No. No, it doesn't. We got to keep doing that. I know we're going to. We're going to keep doing that. Um
We got to ramp it up because this is the thing that's going to
yeah.
drive him
Yeah, for
nuts. I
sure.
don't know. Did you hear this video, this audio that I heard? And I know it's real because I heard it. Um, it was a conversation between Benjamin Netanyahu and Elon Musk.
I heard you talking about it on the last show
Yeah.
that
Oh, I
that you
don't know
were
if I
on.
knew about it last. Maybe
That
maybe I
was
did.
I think you were talking about it with Jace.
It
I
could
think
be.
you were
Well,
talking
what
about it
happened?
with on the show with Jace.
The audio was Benjamin Netanyahu was asking Elon Musk. He said, "Well, you can't be president because you weren't born in America." And he says, "Well, yeah, but you go." And he kind of insinuated that he was kind of a president, even in spite of that. And so Benjamin Netanyahu,
Well,
so
he is.
so
He is.
so let's say unofficial president. He said, "Yeah, unofficial president." Now I got to tell you, if Donald Trump heard that fucking audio, he is one pissed off monkey at this point. He is not
Yeah,
going
we
to
got to release
tolerate.
we got to release that thing to the public.
Well, it's out in the public. I don't know how many people have heard it, I
They
gotta
gotta
find
blast.
it.
They gotta blast that shit.
Yeah. Well, and then Elon comes out and says, "I know people are trying to drive a wedge between us, but it won't work. He's my best girlfriend."
You're you're already doing that yourself, Elon. You're
Yeah.
already doing that.
He can't help
Um,
himself. You got two narcissists standing next to each other. Somebody's going to go away.
right. Of course. Speaking of narcissists, do you know why Donald Trump is as racist as he is? Or Elon Musk for that matter, or really any of these other people who are horribly racist and also narcissistic?
Well, a couple of reasons. We know that Elon Musk is from apartheid South Africa. Dad was
Well,
pretty much
that's
a
obvious,
Nazi.
right? Yeah.
And Donald Trump's dad was a racist. His dad or grandfather was kind of connected to the KKK. They did a lot of racist
Well,
stuff with
his
their
dad was in the KKK. His grandpa
right,
was a Nazi.
right. And so, and of course, you had all the '70s with the rental properties and stuff. So I'm guessing there's something else that you're going to suggest as to why they're racist, though.
Yeah. What I've noticed about this is based on what I understand about narcissists and racism and all that. Some people are racist just because it's how they were raised or, where they're from or like their parents taught it to them. In general, narcissists that are racist are that way because a narcissist needs the world to be their mirror. They
Right,
need to be around people who look like them, think like them, talk like them, act like them wherever they go because they always need to feel like the world is made in their image.
right.
Because if
Well,
they
that's
don't have
true.
that, they're nothing.
Well, there's another thing to consider with narcissists, and I've had my experience with narcissists. It's not as much as they think less of black people or gay people. They think less of all people that aren't them. Literally,
Right.
not them. I mean, that's how they think. I'm the best. I'm the smartest. I'm the strongest. If you're white, if you're pasty white and you step on his toe, he hates you as bad as a black person.
Right.
So, um, narcissists are kind of a isolationist, which makes sense based on what he's trying to do with the country. He wants to
Yeah.
be his own little island in control of everything. And narcissists are also control freaks. That's why he thinks he can bully anybody and get what he wants. He got away with it when he was in school and when he was in business, not having as much luck in government because it's bigger than Donald Trump. But they hate
Right.
they look down their nose at everybody. Not, I had a dad. I'm his kid. He had four kids, and he said the most horrific things to his kids. And I remember I was thinking, I'll never do that with my kids. And then when I got to be a father, I go, I wouldn't fucking do that anyway. That's fucking horrific. That's when I really learned to dislike my father, when I became a father and realized how fucked up he was. But they don't like anybody. They look down their nose at everybody.
Yeah, they do, but they look down the nose at everybody, but the reason they do it more to people that don't look like them, I feel like, is because they want to see themselves wherever they go. They want to look at the average person and they want to see themselves reflected back.
Right, right. And this is what I've always said about narcissists. They always self-destruct, always, no matter who they are.
Oh yeah, they
Uh,
always do. Yeah.
they always self-destruct, and I'm surprised. What I'm surprised and taken aback by is how long it's taken for Donald Trump. He's ridden this wave for a lot longer than I thought he would. But you can see he's right on the edge. He's at the point where he's a narcissist going into the crash, but he's also an old man who is cognitively diminished. Those two fucking things aren't a good combination.
No, they're really not. I did want to say I did want to say this bit about hmm. I mentioned before on the show talking about the speaking of I guess a form of narcissism light. Um, I noticed that before I came on the show, I did a lot of reading, a lot of reports. Um, Speaking of narcissism, there's the Republicans. You've talked about this with Will before, and just in general about how the Republicans are always trying to wage a war on something for the benefit of the children. Which, like,
Right.
hey, only just barely not child here. miss me with that shit. But still, it's like they're all trying to do all this stuff for the benefit of the children. I just see that, I'm like, oh, you mean the ones that keep dying every fucking year in school
Yeah.
shootings because of laws you've passed or won't pass, because God forbid anyone puts any restrictions on guns at all. It's like that to me is some of the most narcissistic stuff of all time. It's just people seeing kids getting shot and killed in school shootings, or incidents of gun violence, just because they don't want to put any restraints or anything at all on their precious guns. Like, how narcissistic can you be?
Yeah. Well, the thing with like the abortion issue for Republicans, they don't really give a fuck about that. It's a talking point. It's a way to get support from a group of people, money, votes, what have you, but they are not pro-life. I mean, they're against
No, they're
abortion,
not.
but you can shoot kids in schools. You can let kids starve. You can let kids get sick because they're not vaccinated. They're not pro-life at all. They're pro-death of anybody that's not them. And again, that goes back to narcissism or just fucking selfishness. But they try to take this higher ground. Well, we're against abortion. Motherfuckers, we keep hearing about you motherfuckers having abortions or doing egregious shit to kids. Don't tell us you're above everybody else. You're the worst
No,
of it. I mean, it's almost, and this is going to sound like a joke, and I don't mean it to be a joke. It's almost like they want to not have abortion, so there's more kids that they can go find dates from, because that's the kind of fun. It's not meant to be funny. I'm serious. They want more white kids, and they all seem to be attracted to younger people, whether they be men or girls or boys.
well,
And
we definitely know Matt Gaetz is.
yeah, Matt, Matt Gaetz kept saying, they didn't charge me, so I was exonerated. He took the same tack that Donald Trump took. Matt Gaetz was never exonerated. He was let he was allowed to slip through the cracks by a corrupt fucking attorney general. That's what fucking happened.
Yeah. Oh, bye, cat. Anyway, speaking of Florida, Will said it before. I said it before too. I'll say it again. Florida, you're fucked up.
Yeah, they're
Um,
fucked up.
yeah, there's a huge number of Floridians in the incoming administration, and they're saying like, "Oh, we want to run the country just like we run the great state of Florida." Florida's a shithole, dude, and you
It
made it
is.
that way.
And it's sad that it is, because Florida, I mean, I've gone down there all my life at different times. And it's a beautiful state and there's some nice people there. But Jesus Christ, you've really run that motherfucker down with the abortion issues, with the insurance issues, with the climate change issues. It's not a it's not a favorable place to go anymore. It's not
No,
friendly.
it's
It's
not.
not nice.
I have been to Florida once in my life. Once.
Really.
Yeah, it was in October of 2015, and it was for the wedding of my step aunt, so my step grandfather's daughter, at Epcot in Disney World.
Oh, okay.
Was it fun? Sure. Was it, was it fun? Sure. I mean, well, of course it was. It was Disney World. I had a good time, fun
Well, you were
experience.
10. You were 10 at the time too.
Uh, I think I just turned 11.
Okay. So it's a
Yeah,
perfect time for a kid your age to be there.
yeah. It was a fun time. It was a fun experience. All that. I mean, it was Disney World, so there was that. Would I recommend it? No, simply because I don't think you want to go wading through the absolute, circle of hell that is Florida to get there.
Yeah, when in the 70s, around the time it opened up, short time after it opened up, my family, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sisters, my grandparents, we went all down to Disney World. It was pretty exciting. It was a new place. It was going to be a fun place. We get to Orlando and Kissimmee and some of the other places. It seemed like, I wasn't a little kid. I was in my mid to late teens, but it was kind of a magical place. It was kind of exciting. It was kind of exotic for somebody from Minnesota. And it was a cool place to go. And I'm thinking to myself, God, it'd be great to bring my granddaughter there. But I have occasion to fly into Orlando. I don't spend a lot of time there. When I'm trying to get to Savannah and I don't have a flight directly to Savannah, I'll go into Orlando and drive up. Okay. And
Yeah.
fucking Orlando, man, I am not impressed with the fucking airport. I'm not impressed with the areas I drive through in Orlando. It's not like I remember it. Those 45 years have just caused a lot of deterioration in Orlando. It's not the cool place anymore. It's got a lot of
No, no, it
crime.
isn't.
It's got a lot of issues.
Yeah, it does, and it kind of only gets worse from Florida because what I'm about to tell you, God, this almost sounds like a self parody of reality. It almost sounds like a South Park thing. This is so fucking absurd. Starting January 1st, Florida, the government of Florida is shutting down access to all, let's just say, adult content websites.
Foresights.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I'm just gonna say it again for effect. Florida, you're fucked up. You know, not that I encourage people to binge like crazy on that sort of thing, but it's like, why do you got to go sticking your nose into every aspect of people's online lives, what they do in their private? You want to turn Florida blue. This is a really easy way to do it.
Well, yeah, and especially since you're a party who says you want freedom and you want smaller government and you want government out of your business, but now they're going to cut off
Bullshit.
the porn. I will just give a tip to those people down in Florida who still want the porn after they cut it off. Just see if you can work your way into a text chain with Matt Gaetz. There'll be plenty of porn there.
Oh God, I see, Mike. You just did it again. I did not need that in my brain.
No, so they're making illegal porn illegal in Florida. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. It's
You know, I'm
they're
not a
shutting
big
off access to
user.
that. Yeah.
That wouldn't really make much difference to me because I don't make use of porn. But again, for those that do, for whatever reason, it's yet another right. First Amendment right. Isn't that First Amendment? Wouldn't that be First Amendment?
Yeah. These
And
people
they're
want to go
taking it
on and on
away from
about
these
First
people.
Amendment, and now they're shitting all over it. It makes no sense.
And see, the problem with that is I've said this before. Um, when the government takes away one right, whether it affects you or not, that should be a red flag because once they do it successfully, they'll do it again. And eventually it will affect you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going by that system, that logic, all the red states are just, there's red flags, and then there's, just red fucking searchlights, or just a red parade.
Yeah.
There's people
Yeah.
going down and just waving the red flags like crazy.
Yeah. I think some of these red states are going to finally realize, all the things they've been cheering for and supporting when it hits home where they live. Because I honestly believe some of these dumb fucks think that whatever Donald Trump's going to do, he's only going to do it to the Democrats because they're the bad guys. He's going to leave us alone. They're in for a big surprise. It's going to affect them as much or more than it does the blue states. I mean, because I'm in Minnesota, I'm in a blue state. We have a budget surplus. I'm doing fine. Some of the
Yeah.
shit he's going to do isn't going to affect me directly, but it's going to affect younger people. And it's going to hammer those red states, people that are trying to
Oh
just
yeah.
live on Social Security or whatever. They have no idea. And they're going to, I always say this, they're going to be standing there with their mouth agape and their least impressive appendage in their hand going, what the fuck happened? They really are going to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for him to a certain extent, but you asked for it. So good luck with
Yep.
that
You
shit.
voted for it. You voted
Yeah.
for it. You voted for it. It's like Will said before. We just have to keep saying that. You voted for it. You voted for it. You voted for it. They know we're right. They hate it, but still, it's true.
Yeah. It's weird how they're reacting now. Like for example, when Donald Trump said, bringing down the prices It's going to be hard. I'm not sure if we can do it. I can't guarantee that we're going to do it. These Trumplafucks, even though they know better, will do anything to protect Donald Trump. They'll say he never said he was going to do it right away. Actually, he did. He did say he was going to do it right away. It's here's the audio tape, the videotape of him saying that, but they will deny it. I mean, they have no relationship to truth at all. They will lie for Donald Trump. And I don't know if it's because they're worried about Donald Trump looking dumb or they just cannot admit being wrong themselves.
No, they can't admit they're wrong, because that's another thing. For some reason, it is now ingrained into our culture that admitting being wrong is a sign of weakness. It all
Yeah.
ties back it all ties back to that horrible machismo dude bro need to be the big tough guy. It's We need to get rid of that ASAP. We need to get rid of that as fast as possible.
I will tell you this, one way to get over that problem of never being able to admit you're wrong, be married to a strong woman for 41 years. You get over that shit real quick, or you're not married for 41 years. Fucking guarantee you.
Well, I mean, that's probably in my future at some point, because, it was a possibility in at University of Alberta in Edmonton before, but if I'm going to University of British Columbia in Vancouver, hmm, my prospects are looking pretty good there.
Yeah, well, I would just put it to you this way. When I was 20 years old, I wasn't this smart. I didn't know. It took me about 10 years to figure that shit out. So take a lesson. Don't take those
I
10
will.
years to take it from a guy who knows. Don't even fucking bother. Admit when you're wrong. Actually,
Yeah,
sometimes you have to admit you're wrong when you're right. That is the
yeah.
best way to go.
One of my I was talking politics with a family friend of ours, and she suggested that I wear a red cap, kind of like the MAGA hat, but when you get up close to it, it says "Just admit you're wrong" on the forehead.
Yeah. Yeah, that will trigger some people. I mean,
Oh yeah, that upset them, because they think I'm one of them, and then they get up close and it's like, nope, just another libtard.
right. Well, and people have sent me hats that they wanted me to wear. And uh, TJ and his wife sent me a T-shirt with my picture on it, the Rational Boomer logo type thing. They had it made for themselves, and
Wow.
they made me one. I said, TJ, you understand? I can never fucking wear this. How big a douche do I look like with wearing a shirt with my picture on it, promoting my pot? I can't do that. I appreciate it. I got it hanging up, but I'm not going to wear it. But it's the same thing with political hats. I'm not looking to engage with anybody in the real world. I mean, if they come up to me or they say something stupid, I'm not afraid to engage with them. But um, I don't want to tease the animals in the zoo because I could be with my granddaughter, I could be with anybody, and it's going to get ugly. And I just don't want to expose my family members to that bullshit. I have no problem with the confrontation, but it's not fair to suck other people into the mess that is the Trumplafucks.
Yeah. Speaking of shirts, I just wanted to say a quick. This is probably going to be the last episode I'm on with my old sort of classic black striped coat here, because the zipper is broken. I'm trying to get it
Oh
fixed.
goodness. Well, we've been getting a
Um,
lot of calls. When is he going to change that fucking sweatshirt? So they'll be happy that you've taken that tack.
I'll
It's
be
unfortunate that it has to be damaged to do it, but
No,
uh
it was damaged. It was damaged when I went on the podcast for the first time with it.
oh well shit. You see, you didn't mention that. You got to have transparency on this. If you come on with damaged clothing, you got to fucking reveal that so we know what we're getting into here. For Christ's sake,
And
I probably
I
shouldn't
gotta get
say for Christ. I probably shouldn't say for Christ's sake on Christmas Day, should I? Sorry about that.
Santa Claus has got the coal cannon primed and aimed at your chimney.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
It's
No.
probably got it at mine
Yeah.
too, but what? Who cares?
Well, I'm 64. I'm not counting on Santa Claus. I'm more a Santa Claus surrogate than I am a receiver of such gifts. So anyway. Well,
Whew.
anytime we have Will on the show, he takes a period of time and rips into the far left. And Will's not here today, so Shay from California has offered up to piss and moan about the far left, and I tend to agree with you on this. I think they're whiners to a
It's
certain extent.
yeah, it's not so much pissing and moaning as like legitimately calling them out because um I'm sure some of you at least have heard of the humanitarian crisis that's going on in
Yeah.
Sudan, South Sudan, that general area.
Hmm.
Um, the number of people that have been displaced out of that whole area because of this crisis is 2.1 million.
Wow.
That is already outpacing just slightly the population of the Gaza Strip.
Right.
The amount of people that have been displaced from their homes within the country is upwards of 12 million. Do you know how many people are being affected by this overall?
How many?
And this is just the ones that they know. All right, it could be much higher. It probably is, given how bad the situation is. 25 million people.
Wow. That's always been my
So
complaint, though. You worry about Gaza and you talk about Gaza, and I understand that. I feel for the people of Gaza too. But there's a lot of this shit going all around the world, and they just ignore it. So is it a
yeah,
matter of the race or the religion of the people that makes a difference, or is it that you only care about certain areas? I mean, if you're going to care about one as much as that, you should consider. When we're talking 25 million people in Sudan, that's pretty fucked up.
yeah. All I have to say about that is I look at like, well, there's such and such, 1,000 people dead in this conflict going on. There's 25 million people being displaced, affected, probably killed. The number of deaths is probably in the millions at this point in
Wow.
Sudan, just based on how bad the situation is. It's like, what do you say to that? To all
They,
you far left assholes, what do you say to this? All I hear is radio silence.
yeah, they won't say anything about that. The question I have though, I've been thinking about this with the far left. I never thought about it before because I didn't realize how much a difference there is from the far left to the more moderate left. Do you see Democrats in a similar situation to the Republicans? And when I say that, I mean the divisiveness or the divided part of the Republican Party. You have a certain amount of people that seem to be reasonably normal, but they are complicit with the MAGA, and then you have the MAGA fucks that are totally separate. Do you look at the far left the same way as we look at the far right in the Republicans? Do they have the same effect on the Democrats? I mean, clearly the election had some impact.
Yeah, I think they do. What really gets to me about like the far left and all this whining, crying, screaming, complaining, throwing away your vote to protest this one issue, it's like, why only Palestine? Like, I don't hear
Right.
any words from you about Sudan. I don't hear anything about the Chinese taking, doing horrible things to the Uyghurs over
Yeah.
in the east of Asia. None of you want to talk about any of that. Russia, the what Russia's doing in Ukraine, you don't want to talk about that either. No, all you do is go on and on and on about Palestine, Palestine, Palestine. Why?
Well, I think part of the reason they get mad about it is because they look at America, Donald or Joe Biden in this instance, but it would have been anybody else, Donald Trump too. He wasn't going to fix anything. He's making it worse for the people in Gaza. The thing that gets under their skin is that Biden provides weapons and money to Israel, as if, and in their minds, he's supporting genocide. The problem we have is that Israel is an ally, and we do have responsibility to support them. Uh, that's not accounting
That's
for some
true.
crazy fuck like Netanyahu running the country. There should be some consideration for that. It's a tough position for a president to be in. It would be for Donald Trump. Well, maybe not, because Donald Trump will give
I
everything to Israel and they'll wipe out Gaza.
Yeah, I have to quote Rebecca here, looking at Netanyahu and the situation in Israel. For the love of, on my life, I will never understand how they voted that piece of shit in. How did, because the Israelis hate him. He's a criminal. He's corrupt. He's done all this stuff. He's continuously stepped on Israel's toes when they've been trying to negotiate with Palestine. See, it's not just like Israel oppressing Palestine or Palestine, you know, lashing out against Israel. It's both sides have been stepping on each other's toes, and bad actors on both sides, you know, generally
For
the far right,
decades.
for decades have been sabotaging this whole thing because there's something in it for them. They always have to have the other side be the enemy so people won't realize that the real enemy is, well, them.
Well, that's an interesting point that you made. Nobody in Israel likes him. How did he get voted in? That sounds like a familiar story, doesn't it? Same situation with Donald
Yeah.
Trump, and nobody liking him in this country, but yet he gets voted in. There can only be a couple of reasons for that. Israel and America have a larger faction of stupid people than we could ever imagine, and that's basically what I believe. But then we hear about, and I've heard this story. I haven't seen anything come out of it, so I don't know if it's real. But how NATO is looking into the Russians' involvement in elections, not just American elections, but elections all over the world, and impacting that. It's interesting that Netanyahu would get in a similar fashion to the way Donald Trump got in. That's what's interesting about this. Is there some? Well, we know they're meddling in the elections. It's just a matter of how effective they are. But it's ironic that Netanyahu and Donald Trump almost seem like mirror images in terms of who they are and what they're doing. And they get elected somehow when nobody believes it's possible. I mean, Netanyahu was kicked out before, and then he came back only to stay out of jail. Donald Trump was kicked out, and he's come back only to stay out of jail. It's a weird fucking comparison.
It is, yeah. What doesn't really make sense to me in that situation is that Russia, because we know, if anyone's interfering in these elections, it's Russia because it's Putin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Russia funds Hamas. I don't want to say Palestine because they fund Hamas through Iran.
Right.
And Israel is at war with Hamas, which, no, that's starting to make sense because I kind of feels like Russia wants the two sides fighting each other forever so they can't team up against Russia. That actually does make sense now that I think about it.
Well, I think they wanted them fighting for the effects it might have on the election too, which it certainly did. I'm going to tell.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this story. I've told this story before on the podcast. I don't know why I remember this. Do you remember when Donald Trump first got in office? You were young at the time, obviously, but he first got in office, first time being president. And there was a big hubbub because he had a meeting in the Oval Office with a couple or three Russians. At least two of them were considered spies. Okay. He was in the Oval Office. Nobody else was in there. There were no notes taken, but there was some revelation that after he got done, that he inadvertently exposed some uh, military secrets. Okay. And everybody's going, well, he's new. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. But it was also told us about those military secrets. They weren't American military secrets. There were Israeli military secrets.
Yeah.
That's what was revealed in that meeting.
That's what
So,
I've been
so
trying
the
to
idea
say.
that so the idea that Russia influences Iran, who influences Hamas, and they were able to pull off that attack. It's the long game, obviously, and it may sound crazy, but there's crazy shit going on in this world.
Yeah. The way I see it, I mean, I support Palestine just as much as the next guy, all right? I consider myself um, a moderate leftist, or if you want to say a leftist liberal, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I support Palestine as much as the next guy, but not enough to throw my vote away over it.
No,
The way I see it is the Israel-Palestine conflict is two populations under these horrible right-wing leaders, because Netanyahu's right-wing, Hamas is horribly right-wing, like they will stone you to
right.
death for being gay.
Right.
It's horrible right wing versus horrible right wing with everyone else caught in the middle. And
Right.
until the world learns to get over its addiction to the I'm going to solve all your problems if only you'll vote for me, if only you'll vote for me, I just feel like we got to shake off this whole far right BS because we got to stop blaming other people for our own problems. We got to stop looking for easy solutions fast. That's the problem with today's society. So we're in a situation where no one wants to vote for the old parties anymore, even the ones that like protect your rights, make good advances for you in business and your life situation. Everyone just wants to vote for the rent is too damn high and groceries cost too damn much party.
Right. And I think since the insurgence of Donald Trump, the mentality or the attitude or the climate of this country has changed. Um, everybody everybody's ready to fight over any little fucking thing. You say something they don't agree with, whether it's right or not, makes no difference. They want to argue with it. They want to get loud and obnoxious. I've said before, my wife works part time since she's retired at an airline, and people, if you're going on a flight, you got to get there 2 hours in advance because you got TSA and you got all that stuff. And then people get there a half hour before the flight leaves, and my wife or other people like her have to say, "You can't get on." "Oh, I can make it." Well, yeah, maybe you could make it, but I got to put your fucking bag on a conveyor belt. It's got to get to the plane before it takes off, and it can't based on how long it takes. So she'll explain that to people, and instead of people saying, "Oh, geez, I fucked up. What can you do to help me?" They get mad at her. "You're late, so I'm late, so I'm going to argue with you about it." And we have the road rage and just stupid shit in stores.
It's all
Everybody's
yeah.
ready to fight. Everybody's
It
ready
all
to
goes
fight.
back to that not it all goes back to that people think being wrong is weak. It's not. It's not.
No, no, it's not. It's funny. I still get Trumplafucks coming up. "Well, you were wrong about November 5th. Like they're trying to shame me. And I have no shame with it. I've been wrong many times. I'll be wrong again. I'm, I tell you what, if you want to get through life and you want to have a healthy mind, don't be afraid to be wrong. People are terrified to be wrong. They think it's a shot at their ego. Too many people live in their ego here. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to get mad, even if I am really wrong. It's so much easier to say, "Yeah, you know what? Fucking wrong." But being wrong is actually very helpful because when you're wrong, you get a chance to step back and go, "How did I fuck that up?" You learn a lesson, you go around it, and you do it again. And then you won't make that mistake again. But people are terrified of being wrong. It hurts their ego. And people in this country are egocentric. I mean, everything is about their ego. You're going to hurt their feelings. And I tell you, one way to get out of your ego, go on TikTok and do the shit I do. Because I get people talking shit about me all day, every day. And then I see some creators coming on crying, "Oh, they said I'm a bad person." Fuck that. Who cares? I don't care. I've had better people than those motherfuckers not like me, and they're in my
Yeah.
family. So fuck them.
Yeah, I hear that. I understand that. Um, what we learned here's what I've learned from the disaster that was November 5th and what we got to do to
Okay.
stop because I think Eric's right when he says that Donald Trump is the last gasp of the MAGA movement, at least in its
I
current
agree.
form. Once he's out, they're done. The problem is, this is how we prevent something like that from happening again. How we prevent this right wing populist from coming out and saying, "I'm for you. All you got to do is vote for me. I'll solve all your problems." There's a bunch
Right.
of things we got to get rid of. We have to get rid of this culture of machismo, tough guy, I can never be wrong, you know, Neanderthal cavemen. We got to get rid of that first and foremost.
I don't know how you do it though, because people are fucked up and they may be fucked up till they die. Do we just let them die off and hope the younger crowd? I mean, I get the sense millennials and Gen Zs aren't quite as absorbed in that whole machismo thing. Is that true? I mean, I'm looking at it from the outside, so I don't know.
Um, Based on how the Gen Zs that voted in this last election, I think a chunk of them are. I think the vast majority just don't care. But we got to get rid. If this is like a trend, if this is like an ongoing thing, we got to get rid of that.
Let me ask you this, because I think that crowd of people, and I'm guessing here, but I think it's a good guess. That kind of mindset are the kind of people that listen to Joe Rogan and that
Oh
type of
God,
thing.
yeah, he's one of the
It's the
worst
machismo.
offenders in that regard.
Is Joe Rogan something that the millennials and Gen Zs are interested in, or is it just Gen X and baby boomers?
I think I know a fair number of young men listen to him. It seems like the younger generations of men listen to that guy, but not in overwhelming numbers.
Okay.
Enough to sway an election apparently, but not enough to do not enough to really say much in the long term.
Yeah.
Fuck Joe Rogan. He's an idiot. I hope he loses everything. Um, but still, that we got to get rid of the machismo thing. We got to get rid of that. We have to get rid of our worship of the rich, because Reagan did that. Reagan ran over us. He pushed that, oh, the rich are going to
I
make it
agree.
better. Billionaires are going to make it better. No, dude, they're not. Those people think like computers. They think only in terms of profit and assets. They
There's
do
no
not see
emotion.
humans.
There's no compassion with these folks.
There's no emotion, there's no heart, there's no soul. All there is real politic. Just
Yeah.
pure cold logic, like the most twisted, perverted form of logic. Logic in its worst form is all these people have.
Yeah. I mean, because logic works, but you also got to bring in the intangibles of compassion
Yeah,
and stuff. It might be logical to break into somebody's house and steal all their money because you need money. But then you have the other effect of what you're doing to the family and the danger you put them in and just the
yeah.
wrongness of fucking doing it. Yeah, I I I think what Donald Trump has in terms of narcissism, I can't say everybody's narcissist. That's just not possible. But
No, it's not.
because of that worship of the rich, honestly, you will see people who support Donald Trump while they may not be narcissists in the real sense, because they worship the rich, they try to emulate the rich so that they can get the
Well,
riches that the rich got.
yeah, because Reagan lied to us that if you worship the rich and you try to be like the rich, you'll become one of them. You'll become the rich. They will
Right.
you will leech enough off of them to become rich yourself. It's a total fucking lie, because Reagan was a liar, a thief, and a con man, and many other horribly unpleasant things that I don't have the guts to say on this show. But
Well, tell me
um,
also. I don't give a fuck. Nobody's going
I
to
don't care
hurt
what
you
anyone's
here.
yeah. I don't care what anyone says. Reagan was the second worst president we ever had. We already know who the first one was easily. But when your actions directly lead to the worst president ever being elected, that automatically makes you the second worst. No exceptions.
Yeah, Reagan certainly did put us on the wrong path. And it took a
Oh
while for it to
God, yeah.
reach this point, but we wouldn't have reached this point without Reagan doing what he did. He
Yeah,
sent us down
Reagan
this
was
path.
so fucking evil. I mean, it's just y'all America, you did Jimmy Carter dirty. I mean, have you seen what that guy did after he got out of the presidency? He
Oh, I
didn't go
know.
back
He's
to
a
his
great guy.
$1 million home. He didn't go back to owning a bunch of companies. He went to building houses for people, putting up power
Yeah.
lines. He worked for he did all this stuff to try and do work for you, the common people, and you voted in one of the most evil people in all of history in the form of Ronald Reagan.
And
You're fucked up.
and I'll say this about Ronald Reagan in retrospect, as I look at his time as president. Um, he may have been as dumb as Donald Trump. He was
Oh
certainly
God,
as
he was.
corrupt as Donald Trump. He was certainly easily manipulated as Donald Trump. He came off like the tough guy too. That's how he got elected. Carter was more passive and easygoing, and that's why we were in trouble economically. So they hired the tough guy, Ronald Reagan. The one thing Ronald Reagan had over Donald Trump is he was a good communicator. And that's all people knew. They knew he could speak well, he could tell a joke, he could do this. and people perceived him as smarter than he was. Donald Trump's a complete fucking buffoon, so we all know he's an idiot.
Yeah, we do. Speaking of good communicator, of like Ronald Reagan was an actor, not
Yeah.
really like a politician or anything what he's doing. That brings me to a really, really major thing we need to get rid of to prevent this same situation from happening again.
What's that?
Above all else, I'm sorry to Kirsten, anyone else who's in this field. We really, or Kristen or whatever her name was, who you had on the show. We really, 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 really need to get rid of reality TV as a concept, as a business.
Oh,
Gone. Get rid of it
yeah.
because
I didn't
it's
know.
not real and it's damaging.
Wait, when you mentioned Christian, I go, oh, here we go. The reality, she probably would agree with you on that. And what she does now is more of a in a spiritual era or realm, more of a spiritual realm. And I thought you were going to
I'm not
say,
at liberty to discuss that because I don't have any. I have no experience or anything like that in that area. I have no. All I know is she's from my own state of California, so just saying
she's a
hi there.
smart she's a smart young woman, and she's fun to have on the show, and we will have her again back because she's got some different kinds of insights to what's going on than the rest of us, and it's good to hear that. But I think you're right. The reality television has been uh, kind
It's
of
got to
a,
go.
yeah, well, it won't go as long as the only thing we can do with reality television and or mainstream
Just make
media
it
news,
uncool. Just
just
make it
don't watch it.
uncool is the easiest thing. Yeah.
Just don't watch it. Yeah, absolutely. I when I was younger, that's when reality TV hit, Jersey Shore, and my wife will watch Real Housewives. Okay. Now Kristen she was a producer on Real Housewives. I don't know which ones, but she was. And she's told me some stories of how, this isn't totally real. This is fabricated to a large extent. And my wife watches it because it's just fucking goofy. And I watch it and I go, every one of these motherfuckers are pigs. They live life like it's free. And what I always say about what I always kid my wife about, these fucking girls, these women get together and decide they're going to have a big trip. They go on the big trip. They all get in a fight. There's all kinds of fallout. They come back. They're not talking to each other. But when they start talking together again, they go, let's go on another trip. Fuck is that? It's just fucking
It.
dumb.
Why? Why would you do that? It just seems like hell. Just doing that over and over again.
Yeah, I would
But
not
that's
be
the thing
good on
is,
those reality shows. I'd be hated by every reality star there ever was because I would talk shit to them. So I don't think there's any risk of me getting on one.
yeah, no, me neither. But there, that thing you're talking about, like it's fabricated, it's not real. The biggest reason we have to get rid of reality TV as a concept as part of our culture is because it perpetuates the most dangerous addiction that this country has, which is addiction to the promise of free stuff, of free money.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
they look at this and they look at all this stuff, these people getting free money, getting things out of nowhere, and they want a cut of that. And so when somebody comes along promising that, like Donald Trump, they vote for it anyway, not stopping to consider that their rights, whatever else, may be taken away. They just want the free stuff because they've been brainwashed by reality TV into thinking that they can have it, and they can't because it's not real. It doesn't exist.
It's funny on TikTok, they keep pushing you to sell the TikTok shop stuff. And I'll be honest with you, because I TikTok shop stuff is just basically coming from Timu, whether you like Timu or not.
Yeah,
It's cheap shit, largely cheap
Timu's a
shit.
fucking scam.
And that's what TikTok Shop does. They get all their products from Timu, and that's how they sell it because it's the same shit. But I will get people every day sending me stuff. Oh, why don't you promote this on TikTok? And um, they'll offer to send you the free shit. I go, don't send me free shit. If I want it, I can afford it. I'll buy the fucking. Don't send me free shit because then I'm obligated to go on and pitch it. And the problem with TikTok is that when you start doing the TikTok shop stuff, they push those videos and not your regular videos. So you look like you're just out selling shit. And I refuse to do that. I mean, if you need the money and you got to do it, I know there's some creators that need the money and doing it, but my integrity is far more important than than whatever little money they're going to fucking pay me for whatever the fuck is sold. It's annoying to me. And that's my problem. You see the mainstream media, it all goes back to money. So now you don't get the whole truth, you don't get the right slant, you don't get the facts. And when I see creators on TikTok, I feel the same way. Your priority is now making money, not telling the truth. Now everybody's welcome to do it the way they want to, but don't tell me you tell the truth and nothing but the truth if you take money from people. Being an old guy, I don't need to take the money from people. It's not like I'm rich or anything, but I won't take money from people to say shit I don't want to say. I refuse to do
Yeah,
it.
that
But
doesn't
our
make any
media is
sense.
full of that shit.
Right. Um, you mentioned I wanted to get a couple things earlier. First off, my prediction of how the whole like Trump Vance the MAGA thing, if they try and do half the stuff they're trying to do, because we all know they're not going to be able to do most of the horrible Project 2025 stuff because they don't have enough votes for it.
Right.
Um, if just the economic stuff alone, if they try and do even half of what they're trying to do, like economically, by the time Donald Trump is dead and JD Vance is out of office and we get a chance to take everything back, the whole MAGA movement is going to be so hated because of all the price hikes and the fact that people can't afford anything and all that. MAGA people are going to be so hated that you go down the street wearing a red MAGA hat, you're going to get spit at. Like
Or get your ass
people
kicked.
probably, yeah, people probably throw rocks at you. And you
Yeah.
wave a Trump flag on your house, people probably spray paint a swastika on the side or say, you know, hey, a murderer lives here or some whatever else. Sorry, my mom's calling me. Hello?
Well,
Carry stuff in from the car?
I'm on a podcast episode. 1 second.
you go ahead and take it. Just mute you and I'll talk. Go ahead, mute. Go. It's your mom, for fuck's sake.
No, it's just I'll be with them in a second. But it's asking about stuff from the car. I'll be with them in a second. But I'm not dropping off early. I'll help them when we're done here because we're coming up on the end anyway.
Yeah.
That was the first thing is MAGA's going to be so hated by the time this all gets done that it may not be safe to support that movement at that point.
Well, I don't think it's going to take 4 years, though. It might take 2 years or less because if shit,
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping for. If Donald Trump does some fucked up shit, that we start seeing the effects as quickly as possible.
His
Because
rate's
that
going to be
means
in
we
the
get it
30s or
over.
20s.
Yeah, it's 41 now.
It's only going to
It's
get
going to
lower.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be only his base is going to stand up for him. So that's
Yeah.
ultimately how it's going to go.
Yeah. I had a couple things more to ask about. One thing was I wanted to get in on the TikTok lives with you, Eric, TJ,
Sure.
Will, and everyone else because I've seen you guys all on the show. Jace mentioned me by name in your last
Yeah.
episode, but I want to get
Right.
a chance to just talk to everyone, just become part of the community fully. So I want to know how I get in on that.
Well, it's I mean, we've done some multiple people shows on the podcast like this, 2 or 3 people, and sometimes it gets confusing. That's why I don't normally like to do it with multi guests, maybe 2 guests at most. But when we did the one on the live, that was that was just kind of impromptu. I never really planned the lives. I said, okay, I'm going to do the lives, and for the longest time, I only did the lives myself because I was also recording it on Zoom so I could make it a podcast. If I'm recording it on Zoom, I can't hear the guests. So podcast sounds fucked up. So then I did the live. I didn't really need the podcast because I had one, but I thought, well, maybe I can download the TikTok live and run that on YouTube and such. So I went on there and I thought, okay, I'll take some guests. And Eric popped up and then Will pop up. And basically, you can go on there and ask to be invited, or I can just invite you to come on. I hit the invite button, you show up in a
This is a
box, and then
TikTok
you can
thing, though,
talk.
right?
Yeah, it's a TikTok
All
thing.
right. I don't have TikTok, so I was wondering.
Well, I think you can. What I'm trying to do is trying to figure out YouTube. You can do it on YouTube too. I've done lives on YouTube. I'm just not sure how to pull people up. But you're more than welcome to do it, or we can, I thought about that too, that, maybe we should do a couple of multi-people lives, not lives, multi-people podcasts like we're doing here right now, except to have two other people in there too. We could try it. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
could be good.
la- Last thing I wanted to get into. You mentioned on one of previous episodes that you had met people on the spectrum, and
Mhm.
that you knew some people with autism. Well, I mean, but obviously you do, because you've had one of them on your podcast.
You're on the spectrum.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, absolutely. I have family members on the spectrum too, and if you think that somebody who's on the spectrum uh, is diminished intellectually, that's not the case at all. It's just that people with autism are wired a little different, and that doesn't even
Yeah,
mean it's bad, because some of the most brilliant people I've met are autistic.
yeah. I have been asked before by just random people, how do you? I have been asked by one guy, how do you feel about the anti-vax idiots trying to use your neurodivergence as fodder for their ridiculous conspiracy theories? And it's like,
Good
it's not so
question.
bad. Being autistic, I don't mind that much. Being autistic isn't so bad compared to being an idiot.
What do you think about vaxxers being responsible for autism? I think it's silly, but
It's it's not true. It's bullshit. It always has been. The thing, it all goes down to one little molecule that was in vaccines over the years. This thing called thimerosal,
yeah,
which um it looks really nasty because of its composition. It looks like it could have some really nasty effects if it had just the right reaction, but it's not. It's not that dangerous. It just looks that way, and it's the guy who posted that one paper that got his medical license stripped. I feel like
yeah,
he was really just looking in to make a lot of noise and maybe make a quick buck out of it.
yeah. There was a. Let me just call this up. There was a drug. It was called thalidomide. And I'm reading this now. It's a drug that was used in the 50s and 60s to treat morning sickness and sleeping problems, but was later withdrawn due to its ability to cause severe birth defects. It's now used to treat
Hmm.
multiple myeloma, and leprosy. So it's still being used. But there was a period of time in the 50s and 60s when people were freaking out about that. I mean, I think people are freaked out about things that they don't understand, and people don't understand vaccines. The whole idea that vaccines cause autism. I will say, I don't know what you think about this. Everybody says, why are there so many people that are autistic now? I don't think there's probably any more people that
There
are
have
autistic
always been.
now. We just didn't call it that because
We just didn't know it. Yeah.
was in the 60s, for as unsophisticated we were, an autistic kid might be referred to as that weird kid, or the kid that dresses differently or talks differently. There
Yeah.
were always people like that. It's just part of society. And again, a lot of those people that might have been autistic in the 60s and 70s probably went on to live perfectly normal lives and be very successful in their own right.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's not that there's been a jump in autism. It's just that we started calling it autism.
Right. I just have to say to all those Karens out there who think like, "Oh, my kid won't talk to me, or my kid is awkward or weird because he's vaccines made him autistic." It's like, no, your kid is not, he doesn't act up or scream or cry or throw fits or whatever. He's not he's not that way because vaccines gave him autism. Your kid is a spoiled little brat because he shares DNA with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how you raise a kid has a lot of bearing on how the kid behaves. I will say this: I'm 64. Since the time I was 2 or 3, I've been getting vaccines. I talked about being in grade school where you'd line up in the gym and they'd shoot you with a vaccine gun every fucking year. My mom
Ooh,
has been getting me vaccines. And you know, sometimes you get a little, if you get a COVID shot, you might feel a little pain in your arm, or you
your neck.
or you a little upset or neck or something like that. But Jesus Christ, the benefits from vaccines have been incredible. I loved how they were talking about, well, we'll get rid of the polio vaccine. And then when he got blowback about that,
Ooh.
Donnie says, no, 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 we're not doing the polio vaccine. These people are just dumb as shit. They say whatever comes in their head that they think people will jump on board with. And it's all very dangerous
Yeah.
to even talk about that shit.
Oh God, yeah. What I want to say is, if they did try and do all this stuff, get rid of these vaccines, and God forbid polio, measles, all this other stuff, but even worse, bird flu, if all of that hit the country, assuming the country even survived, I guarantee you the country gets out the other side, Republican Party never ever wins another election ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, God forbid we have to go through another COVID for Trumplafucks to learn a lesson. I hope we
Well,
don't,
they
because
won't. They won't learn the lesson because they'll all be dead. But
yeah.
we'll all be better off for it. I feel like.
Well, and that's the funny thing about Trumplafucks I never understood. They want freedom. But if they find out I took the vaccination and I did take a COVID vaccination, I took a RSV vaccination and I took a pneumonia vaccination because I'm fucking 64. I took all those vaccinations so I don't get sick. I don't want to get sick. But when you talk to somebody, they will try to admonish you for taking the vaccine. I said, mind your fucking business. You don't want to take the vaccine? I don't give a fuck. If you die from it, I don't give a fuck. But don't tell me I can when you're telling everybody else you got to have freedom. I got my freedom and I'm going to do what the fuck I want. And guess what? I'll live longer than you do too.
Exactly. It's there's just this really strong. It gets to people. It gets to these narcissistic people when they see other people not living and behaving like they do, and they start to, because for every narcissist, their entire life is they have this black hole constantly eating at them from the inside out, and they
Yeah.
constantly need the adulation, the imitation, the flattery, the this, the that, to feed that black hole so it doesn't keep eating them from the inside out. That's why all narcissists eventually crash, is because the black hole consumes so much of them, it eats so much of them from the inside out that they just fall apart because there's not enough of them left. And so they always need everyone else to live and behave the way they do, because then otherwise they're literally just eating themselves alive.
Right. And the reason they crash is because it finally becomes revealed to everybody that they aren't who they say they are. They aren't as smart. They aren't as
Right.
powerful. They aren't as tough
The
as what they think. That's why they never
the
have
emperor
close
has no
friends.
clothes.
Yeah, and that's why they have no close friends too, because when you're close to them, you can see those cracks. They look good from
Yeah.
a distance to some people, but once you get close to them, you go, God, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah, it is true. The what I was going to say about yeah, the emperor has no clothes. All he has is a bunch of cooking spray tan, and shitty pants.
And he's not looking good these days. All the spray tan in the world's not going to
No,
fix that kind of ugly.
he's looks like death warmed up. He's living on borrowed time. Um,
He's living on Big Macs is what he's living on right now. The only
yeah,
only reason he's still alive is because all the preservatives in fucking Big Macs. That's the only reason.
yeah. Um, yeah. So that's all the way it is. I'd have to say another thing about, like, I did want to say the thing about child pediatric cancer research. They did put that onto the bill in the Senate. I think it got through in the Senate, so that's good. But I just look at people wanting to cut child cancer research out of a funding bill. I just look at that and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, like that. That's so evil that almost feels in line with a Disney villain. Like
Well,
that's just Disney villain level evil. It's so evil. It's mind boggling.
well, the person who started that was Elon Musk. That's
Yeah,
that was his plan to
that
cut trillions.
that that guy. I have to say, there are videos of him shaking hands with Barack Obama. He went
Yeah.
hard for Barack Obama in 2008. He used to be a smart ish guy. I mean, at least he kept to himself.
Yeah.
He didn't get meddled up in people's business. With how far he's gone to the right and how insane he's become these past few years, I can't help but feel like, I know I shouldn't believe this, but I can't help but kind of get the feeling like some kind of flesh-eating monster killed him and stole his skin and is wearing it as a suit and is impersonating him.
Well, it's funny. You talk about his transition from dealing with Barack Obama to this now far right thing with Donald Trump. And I think with him, it's a narcissism and it's about power. I got a text from Old Soul today or yesterday, and she was freaking out.
God bless that woman.
Yeah, she's in Germany right now. The wild child. She's setting the wild child up to go to school in Germany, getting her out of this fucking place, for all that she's gone through. But apparently, Elon Musk was in Germany meeting with the ADF party, which is essentially the
AFD.
Nazi
Yeah.
party. AFD, yeah, AFD party, which is essentially the Nazi party. So, what is this
Yeah.
fucker doing? Is he not only trying to take over the country, but the entire world? It seems so.
I think that is his goal. Yeah. I think his goal is to feasibly rule the world by owning every government in the world. I feel like at a certain point his goal is to just do that and eventually just crown himself king of the whole world. And then
How
do
is
the
he
same thing
different?
with Mars.
Sounds very similar to Hitler, doesn't it? Sounds very similar to Hitler. The difference is he's got money and
Yeah.
he had power. It's crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
Well, I tell you what, I know you got some other stuff to do. I appreciate you coming on and taking some time to talk to us. You'll
Yeah,
be
no
back
problem.
soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh, and you have a Merry Christmas.
You too. To all the viewers out there, Merry damn Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this show airs on Christmas Day. I don't know why people are listening to it, but they will. But
They're
for
probably
those
as
of you,
messed up as we are.
yeah, probably. Um, but for those listening and anybody who's listening, have a Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate Christmas, just enjoy the day, whatever it is. We hope you have a great day. And of course,
Yeah.
we will talk to you again tomorrow.